All right, guys, welcome back. This is the 10P DC podcast. This is Coach Gino, back with my purple belt, Mark. So, we got some gym announcements to start off today's podcast. Again, holiday gift card is out there, and that gift card now is available for all our members at the gym. So all the members who want to get that gift card, pick up one. It's free. You get to give it to a friend or family member for a free week of training over at the gym. So again, if you haven't claimed yours yet, come up to the front desk, and we'll make sure we get you one of those so that you can spread the joy of training with everyone this holiday season. And for results from our tournament last weekend, Grappling X. So we have a few announcements we're going to run through. Mark was out there helping coaching with Coach Rich. So appreciate you, Mark and Rich. Let me pull up this results list. Okay. Let me see. I think it was sent in a group chat. So we've got from the top, we'll start off with the gold. Shout out to Graham, getting 2 wins by points and almost some subs, but gets the gold medal. Group gets the bronze medal. Constantino gets the bronze medal. Eugene gets the silver, and RJ gets the bronze. So again, congrats to all you guys for showing out to that tournament. We had a good showing for our team. And we're going to be looking to kick off this next year, coming in 2023, with some more grappling tournaments. So grappling tournaments are going to return. And it was, again, it's a crazy thing because the last couple of years, it's been on and off with COVID, and we haven't had too many tournaments in California, especially in NorCal. We've been having to go a little further than we used to. But these tournaments are coming closer and closer over near our area in Daly City and the Peninsula area. So the next tournament I'm looking at for the team to show out for is February 11th, the Grappling Industries tournament in San Jose. So again, February 11th, Grappling Industries in San Jose. Let's get a good squad out there. So all those listening who want to compete, we got plenty of time to prepare for that. If you're wanting to jump on that one, come on down. Let's get into these training sessions. Let's get you guys ready for competition. Upcoming this weekend, Logan Diaz, again, is making his return to the Muay Thai scene. He is going to be fighting this Saturday. So this Saturday, there is no Muay Thai class at 12 noon. Do not show up to noon class looking for us. We will be at the fights. Logan will fight in the afternoon. We will be at the venue probably around 11, 12 a.m., me and Logan, but everyone else probably coming in around like 12, 12:30. Make it there, get your seats, and come on out and make sure you guys are showing your support, cheering on Logan whenever you guys see him moving and landing. Make sure you cheer him on. I'll talk about why that's important a little bit later. We are going to also talk a little bit about the next upcoming team duel tournament. So the team duel tournament, again, it's coming up soon. So we are looking to get guys to help prepare our team for the Blue Belt Team Duel at 10th Planet Sacramento. So all those who are interested in not only competing, but helping the team get ready, let me know. We're going to organize some training sessions soon to make sure everyone is prepared for that rule set. And this is a different type of rule set with a team duel. Again, it's a 5-on-5 jiu-jitsu tournament. We will go over these rules in these training sessions. But again, we got to be strategic, not only with how we're rolling, but the order of what the order of which the team competes in, and also making sure our weights are under the proper divisions, or the weight classes are properly organized so that we can have everyone performing at their optimum level. Again, the weight cutting is a huge tool that you can use to either get an advantage or have some trouble. Like you want to make sure we're putting people in a weight class that's comfortable for them, but at the same time, we want to make sure everyone is in shape, everyone's ready to go and conditioned at that weight and able to move well. So we will start preparing for that. That tournament should be January 14th in Sacramento. So that should be a good time. If you guys want to come out and watch too, I'm sure Albert over at 10th Planet Sacramento, he's got options for people to view that tournament. So we will definitely keep you guys posted on the news for that. Over in, I think, what else do we have? Over in the gym right now, it's typical situation during the holiday, man. It's slow. People are coming in, and I see all those who are taking time off, going on vacations, and I understand it's all good. I definitely want to touch base on what we need to be doing during the holidays to make sure we're all staying sharp, we're all doing what we can to stay in shape, make sure everyone's staying healthy. The holiday times, they're we're 1 week away from Christmas. They're always a troubling time to get consistent with their training. For those who are looking to cut weight, obviously the festivities don't help showing up and trying to enjoy our family and friends, but also trying to stay away from all the drinks, the food, all the calories that we're trying to cut down on. But it's okay, again, to have those moments of celebration and to still be able to have your goal set. Just because there's a day you want to celebrate with your friends and family, it's not the end of the world. Definitely just want to make sure you guys are still getting your training in, moving around, at least to a certain degree. If you're traveling, if you're out of town, maybe look for a gym you can drop in once or twice, so you're not going for a long time without training. And if you can't do that, maybe find a workout that you could do at home, whether it could be plyometrics or calisthenics, something that you can do on your own time so that you can stay in shape. When you come back from a long layoff with no training, zero training, sometimes a little rough, and you definitely want to make sure you're not gonna get too far off of your trajectory. You want to make sure you're still keeping yourself in check. You're being honest with yourself. For those of you who are doing jiu-jitsu, get a kettlebell, maybe start working some rounds on that. Still working your stretching regularly, making sure you're staying limber. For all my Muay Thai athletes and MMA fighters, shadow boxing regularly, hitting the gym, getting your cardio in, running the treadmill. I know treadmill is not the funnest of things, but it's better than doing nothing. You get a jump rope every now and then. Get that jump rope. That jump rope is easy to travel with. If you're traveling, you're going, God knows where, just get that jump rope out, get your timer on your phone, do a few minutes on the jump rope, and it can go a long way. So training during the holidays is tough. I understand that, especially when you're traveling, especially when you're not home, when you don't have all your gear, but find a way to get a little bit in, and that's going to go a long way. And as martial artists, I always strive to tell folks, this is a lifestyle that we got to be ready to live. When you train as regularly as a lot of us do, we got to stay in shape. We got to make sure we're not getting too far off our goals, and we're not getting too far off our game, and we want to make sure we're staying sharp. So keep training, find a way to get some movement in your routine. Make sure you're still finding consistency in your workout plan, and do your best to just, enjoy and still be consistent and dedicated with your training. So holiday, again, just make sure you still enjoy the time with your family and friends. That's important. But don't forget, you got to come back to the gym come Monday, and we're going to get back into it. New Year should be a busier time. A lot of people will be coming back in the gym. So again, if you're looking to get going earlier, a good idea to come in now when it's a quiet time in the gym. You get a little more attention since it's smaller groups. You'll be able to, get a kick start and be able to get a jump ahead of those guys who come in that new year, new me kind of mindset and try to just jump in, and they don't really have as much of a jump start as you, because you started a week earlier with smaller classes. Because when you start in with bigger classes, a lot of people in the room, hard to get some good attention that's focused on you. But you definitely want to look to get into those smaller sessions while you can. And that's a good thing about this time of year is when people are in the gym, they get that extra attention, they get that extra focus that they can get their game honed a little sharper. So I recommend you guys come in as much as you can during the holiday. And if I don't see you guys to the new year, again, Happy New Year and Happy Holidays and all the good stuff. Okay. So gym announcements, pretty much set on that. Mark, anything as far as the gym, the dojo? Okay, we're going to move on today into some of the fight news. Okay, so fight news. Okay, we're going to trace back to this past weekend's UFC. Now, I did not watch the UFC card, but I've heard a lot of controversy over this last event. The main event ended in a draw. The co-main event was controversial win. And on the rest of the card, we had some crazy finishes, and it was, toward the end of the year, we've been seeing some really good fights. So gonna touch base on these briefly. Again, I didn't watch any fights this past weekend, so I just want to kind of share the news with folks and see what's going on with the MMA world and the combat sports world. But definitely will like to watch those back when I have time, and I'll definitely make some more comments on them when I actually watch them fully. Okay, so let's start from let's start with the prelims. Raul Rosas Jr. makes his debut, the youngest ever UFC fighter to get a win in the octagon. Man, big congrats to Raul Rosas Jr. and his family. I know the Rosas family is super proud of him. 10 Planet Vegas out there training Raul. The GF Club, all you guys. I know you've been putting Raul on his game for a long time, and he's finally getting to shine. So big shout out over there to all you. And man, just domination on his end. Just got him down. I saw that one. That's the one fight I did see because, I was at a wedding this past weekend. Shout out to my kuya Jeremy. But that one I had to watch because Raul I've seen since he was a kid, and I know his talent. I knew he'd make a big splash into the UFC. But, man, what a statement. Mark, did you get to watch that one?
Yeah, it was easy money.
Easy money. It was first round, right? First round, domination, gets him down, chokes him. Man, that boy's grappling, something else. And, he definitely got striking, too. Don't sleep on his hands and his kicks, so definitely got to watch out for that kid. So that's the only fight I watched, total domination. Not surprised at all. I've been seeing Rosas over the years, and he has been killing it, using whatever format, grappling, kickboxing, MMA. He is dominating the tournament scene and the competition scene. So I'm not surprised to see him going this far. And I really hope that the UFC puts right matchups for him and builds him up correctly, because that's what the key is with these fighters. You got to build them up correctly. You don't want to be throwing guys into the lion's den right away. Even though Rosas is game, he's ready to fight anyone. You can see he's hungry and he's ready to go. You definitely want to take care of your athletes and make sure they're getting built up correctly. So that was the main event of the prelims. If I'm correct, I'm going to pull up the main card and see what we got here. So this past weekend, UFC 282 again. Oh, wait, let me see. We are looking at the first fight of the night, on the main card, was Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria. Now, disappointed on Bryce Mitchell's end. For myself, I thought he was going to get that W. Again, I didn't watch this fight. He got submitted in round 2 by Ilia Topuria, and Topuria is a game fighter. You cannot sleep on him. But from the news afterwards, it looked like Bryce Mitchell was actually sick during the fight, and that can happen. Fighters will still fight when they're sick because they got to get that payday. So I'm not gonna say one thing or another. Who knows if Bryce was at his 100%? Only he knows, and he's saying he's got the flu. So I'll take him for face value. I mean, I don't think he's the type to kind of lie about those situations. Mark saw the fight. Mark, what's your comments on that bout?
Yeah, he looked really tired from the jump. Bryce did, and I was like,
didn't look like himself.
Yeah, I was like, something might be wrong. Maybe he's injured or something. But
okay. So definitely validating the fact that Bryce could have been sick on that fight. He usually comes out like on a tear, and he's usually on point. And I was surprised to see him get submitted of all things. But when you're sick, and you're not going to be performing at 100%. And a lot of fighters don't come in fighting at 100%, especially at the pro level. But when you have a sickness like that, and a virus or whatever, the flu, you're definitely going to be compromised. So, hopefully they run that back one day if it is true, and we'll see it again when both of these guys are healthy. Excuse me. And moving on now. So Darren Till versus Dricus Plessis. Now, Darren Till, it sounded like from the headlines I saw, he was a good fight. It was back and forth for a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. Duplessis gets the submission in round 3. And, just the fact they made it to round 3, you can tell it was at least some type of fight Till was putting up. Mark, what's your thoughts on that one?
Round 1 could have been 10-8 for Duplessis.
Oh, is that bad?
Like, he was just holding him against the cage.
But he hurt him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least it looked like it. His Till's left eye was swollen.
Okay. Second round, Till came back, rallied back.
And Duplessis looked exhausted. They kept talking about how he breathes out of his mouth all the time or something like that. But he just actually looked gassed. But and
then round 3, he found the sub. In round 3, did Till have some moments where he looked like he was rallying back? Do you remember him coming back in round 3?
I think from what I remember, Duplessis was kind of taking that round, the whole round.
Yeah, maybe he was just taking a little chill pill on the second round, just kind of gathering himself, because after you dominate a guy for a full round, I'm sure you're a little bit gassed. So coming back in another round is a good strategy. You kind of relax a little bit, as long as you're not getting too much damage, I mean, it's a decent strategy. Darren Till is on a losing streak, if I'm not mistaken. I hate to see it. I love Darren Till, but hopefully he bounces back soon, and I think he can if he just takes some time, reassesses his game, figures out what he needs to do, and we'll see a new Darren Till hopefully in 2023. Now, the next bout, catchweight bout, Alex Morono versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio gets the round 3 KO. Man, I didn't see any highlights on that. Don't know nothing about that fight. Mark, what do you think on that fight?
Yeah, the third round, I think Ponzinibbio got hurt and then ended up catching Morono. So third round is pretty exciting. I didn't catch the first 2 rounds though.
Okay. No, you love to see that. You love to see a guy getting hurt and then coming back in the victory. So congrats to Santiago on that victory. Again, moving on now to Paddy Pimblett versus Jared Gordon, the co-main event of the evening. So we're gonna sit on these 2 next fights for a little bit and talk about the controversy that's surrounding these 2 fights. Okay, so Paddy Pimblett versus Jared Gordon. From what it looked like, everyone was scoring the fight for Jared Gordon. Okay, a lot of people scored it for Jared Gordon. I don't think anyone said Paddy won that fight except Paddy himself. So if you're talking about fights getting scored with a judge's decision, there's always that cliche, oh, you shouldn't have left it to the judges. You should have tried to finish the fight. And I heard a lot of people talking about Jared Gordon kind of coasting on that third round and not pushing the gas where he needed to, but dominating the first 2 rounds. I don't know what moments Paddy had, but Paddy looked like, I saw the post-fight interviews, and I think Jared Gordon looked a little more beat up. He had a little more welts on his face, but again, I didn't get to see how that damage was created. Now, again, Paddy got the decision victory. Paddy's claiming that he did more damage, and that damage is key. And then I'm, definitely something to argue. But how much does the control time factor in? We've talked about this before. That is subjective. We don't know, but Jared Gordon did have more control from what I understood, and he did some damage in the stand-up. So, Mark, you had some notes on that fight, right?
Yeah, Jared Gordon's, he had some really nice left hooks that landed clean in the first round. And I think one thing that I noticed was Paddy would hit 1-2s on Jared's guard, but the crowd would go crazy.
On the arms?
Yeah, the crowd would just go nuts. And Paddy did throw a lot of volume, but I think even when looking at the significant strikes stats, Jared Gordon had more in the first round.
Oh man, that's even more controversial, because when it comes down to strikes, landing clean needs to count more. Obviously, it's a significant strike. When you're landing on the glove, I mean, it's a strike thrown, but it doesn't land clean. I mean, so volume versus precision, you're looking at that debate, and you're looking at Paddy with a huge fan base as well. Every time he throws and lands, the crowd causes a reaction. And I think even John McCarthy was mentioning, I think his son judged the fight, and he was saying how much noise the crowd was making every time Paddy threw a combo or landed a punch or kick. And that is a influencer. That is an influencer on the judges. If you are going to be screaming off the top of your head and you're right next to a judge, when something happens, the judge may think that something happened even if it didn't. You have to cheer on your teammates and the fighters that you want to gain the victory to help the judge's influences in case it goes to the decision. But that doesn't always equate to who won the fight. It's really just depends on whose fan base is stronger, who's got more support, and that does factor in this sport. Your sport, you have to have a fan base, you have to have people on your side, so that when it comes down to that decision, that crowd influence puts a little bit on the judges and kind of gives them more incentive to judge it your way or the other. So with that fight, again, it's always about the decision, right? The decision is the key. And with the decision, you just don't know what these judges see. These judges don't have to explain their choices in this. And it's unfortunate that, you'd like to see post-fight interviews with the judges. We see post-fight interviews with the fighters, but why not post-fight interviews with these judges and see what's going on in their head? Why did they score it this way? What did they see? And again, that's something that I would like to see. I don't know if they'll ever implement it. And also, it's also a question of what are these judges seeing? Not necessarily as far as what are they seeing with the technical or the physical, the powerful advantage. Literally, what are they seeing? Where is their view in the octagon? If you are sitting cage side, it is actually pretty difficult to see moments when you should be looking as a a more advantageous look would be what they put on the pay-per-views. What they put on the pay-per-views and what they put on the actual screens. That's what people see better. I think Joe Rogan even said that when he's next to the cage, he's still looking at the screen down on his table because he gets a better view. I don't know if these judges get that same view. I hope they do. But sitting at that cage can sometimes be deceptive. Sometimes you think stuff is going on when it's actually not. Sometimes you want your fighter to move his arm a certain way, but you don't see on the other side of the cage the guy's got his arm trapped. So you're looking at it where these judges, again, have no need, or they don't have any requirement, I should say, to explain the thought process of their fights. So I think that's something where it could help, so we can kind of see the perspective, and then they can also be corrected. And in case these things happen continuously, we need to get these judges to be consistent, because some of these judges, I saw some of the headlines, I don't know if they're true or not, but then some of these judges have a history of bad decisions, and that is something that is very unfortunate. When it comes down to decisions, you want the fighter who won to win, and that's, at the end of the day, this is people's livelihoods. If you're going to be messing around with subjective calls, you're putting people's lives at risk. So definitely would like to see what these judges thought, or know what these judges thought. But again, it really comes down to try to get that finish. Gordon shouldn't have coasted maybe on that last fight, should have pushed for that victory. And Paddy needs to get his defense better. I said it last time, he needs to get them hands up. Mark, any last thoughts before we move on to the main event?
Yeah, I think you make a good point about the judges having a post-fight press conference. That'd be interesting, but maybe even as easy as recording their voices during the fight, and just to hear what they were thinking while they're watching it live.
Yeah, I mean that would require them to commentate it too. I mean, they could, and that's something where it's definitely not out of the possibility of doing so. But the UFC can easily just put a mic up on the judges. I don't think they're sitting next to each other. I think they're all on different sides of the cage too. So, if one of these judges wants to get mic'd up during one of these fights, I think that would be actually a really good way for us to understand what's going on. I mean, referees in the NBA get their mics up. I mean, the referees in the UFC too. But the judges, that's another thing. We don't get any look at the judges. We barely even get to see who their faces. So the judging is something that I definitely would like to see more insight on, and figure out what these judges are really looking at when they watch these fights.
Yeah, like not even having to commentate, just like even just little notes during the fight.
Right.
Little things, and then we could hear it back later.
Yeah, exactly.
That way we could know, like you said, what they were seeing and what made their decision.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a head scratcher. It's sometimes like, what fight did I just watch? And you're gonna get that a lot in combat sports, because when it comes down to the judge's decision, you never know what the judge is seeing, and that's the story of the day. And moving on to that main event. Now, main event ended in a draw. Jan and Magomed fought for the light heavyweight title to a decision draw. Now, from what I understand, Jan was fighting decently well. A lot of, from Mark, what you said, it was shin kicks. He was throwing kicks at the shin, which is gnarly. Maybe he was trying to get around to the calf. Magomed, what was his game? Was he mostly lining the stand-up, or was he getting takedowns?
He didn't start grappling until later in the fight, but I thought he looked really uncomfortable on the feet, actually.
Oh, really?
I've seen him before, and he's looked really good on the feet.
Okay.
But yeah, the kicks definitely had a factor. He was like actually going for shin kicks, which is crazy.
Okay. As far as the grappling, how'd the grappling exchanges go?
I was thinking like Magomed should have started grappling way earlier than he did, because he was like the last round could have been a 10-8, just pure grappling dominance. And this is after Jan had chopped his legs up too. So like I thought he probably should have started grappling earlier in the fight.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not too familiar with Magomed's game, but I know Jan is a good stand-up fighter, and Jan's pretty good on the ground as well. So the decision, Mark said he thought it was fair, right? You thought it was a draw.
I actually had it a draw, yeah, because I had
Jan winning the first two, right?
First three.
Yeah. And Magomed winning the last one 10-8.
The fourth winning, and then the last one 10-8.
Oh, okay. So, definitely something that's fair then, maybe. In this draw decision, it's not too absurd to hear. What was the general consensus for this fight, Mark? Do you know? Like, did people think that Magomed won and Jan was unjustifiably getting the draw?
Yeah, I think I saw a lot of back and forth. It wasn't very decisive what people were saying, but I think if you took the whole fight, like if you took the one approach of like who won the whole fight, I think you would definitely have to say it was Jan because he was really hurting him with those leg kicks, like really bad. And the grappling was like dominant, but it's not. He wasn't like pounding him or posturing up, ground and pound, or having submission attempts. It was just good control dominance. So.
Okay, I definitely got to watch these fights back. They sound really exciting. Definitely want to see what that the draw was about. And when I watch that fight, we'll touch base back on this podcast as to a quick overview of what I saw in these fights. Now that fight is over, and there is still no light heavyweight champion since Yuri Prohaska. He vacated the belt because of his injury. So we are now left with no light heavyweight champion. So I think it is official, if I'm not mistaken. Dana White post-fight press conference stated Glover Teixeira is going to fight Jamahal Hill. So I'm looking forward to that. If that's true, we'll never know until they make that fight card official and we see those two in the octagon. But would love to see that. Let's go.
Yeah, I remember seeing Jamal Hill fight and he just like passes the eye test. Like this guy is going to be really good, but I think his rank is low at this point. But
yeah, but the other thing is Glover is the champion before Yuri. I was really surprised Glover didn't get that title shot before these two did. Jan and Magomed. But it comes full circle. Glover's getting his shot again, and then Hill's got his time to shine if he's going to get there. We'll see. This time will tell. I'm looking forward to that one. I think that's going to be a fun fight. Those guys are both entertaining, and we're not in for any type of snooze fest for sure. So very excited for that one. Okay, that's all for the UFC news. We are going to move on to some other news. For Combat Jiu-Jitsu, I think Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds is going to be this weekend, Mark, right? Is the team duel. So Eddie Bravo's Combat Jiu-Jitsu team duel. The first ever event is coming this weekend, not coming back because the previous events have never been a team duel. So again, we talked about this a few podcasts ago, but Eddie Bravo is putting on the Combat Jiu-Jitsu rule set into a team duel format. Now, if you're looking at team duels, if you never watched Quintet, if you haven't watched the team duels before at HQ or the 10P qualifiers, team duels, brown belt team duels, it is going to be something that I think a lot of people will be interested in to get them into the jiu-jitsu circuit and understand pure grappling. Now, this is not necessarily pure grappling because this is combat jiu-jitsu. This is with open palm strikes. So those who are interested in seeing some, strikes into the jiu-jitsu game, I definitely recommend you tune in because this is, again, a team format. We're going to see a lot of guys going in and potentially getting a lot of matchups with multiple guys in the same night. So that's always fun. When you see a guy fighting multiple opponents in one night, it just shows a lot of badassery. I really like to see a guy taking out multiple opponents in one night. And, the old school Pride format when they had tournaments, gotta love it. This is a little different since, again, the focus is jiu-jitsu. Now, a lot of people may ask is why don't you just do MMA if you got jiu-jitsu with strikes? The emphasis for this tournament is the jiu-jitsu at the end of the day. Even though there are strikes, the strikes are meant to open up the submissions. There's a lot of times in tournaments when guys are just stuck in guard and you're just sitting there for a long time and nothing's happening. But when the strikes are thrown, you're forced to react and move. You can't just stay there and take strikes. There's been plenty of TKOs in combat jiu-jitsu tournaments, and we see it all the time. These open palm strikes are not slaps. They are thrown with weight. They're thrown with force, and you can really do damage. Guys get cut open. Guys get bleeding all over the mat, and it's really fun to watch. Those who like to see combat sports to its, fullest, this is one of those tournaments that you definitely want to see. So the combat jiu-jitsu rule set, again, typically in the past, we've done it like in a format where it's been tournament style with trying to get through a bracket all the way up. So you are facing multiple guys, but this rule set is on a 5 versus 5 rule set. So you have your 5 teammates that you go up against another 5 on another team. So it's elimination every single matchup if you do not get a sub or if you get submitted. So again, potentially looking at a guy taking out 5 people if he subs all of them, or if we see all of them go to a draw with no submissions, we go to that EBI overtime rule set. So that is this weekend, Sunday, I believe. Mark, did you see the date?
Sunday, December 18th at 3 p.m. Pacific.
Sunday. Okay, so get your UFC Fight Pass if you don't have it. Again, if you don't have that, let me know. I mean, I'll try to get that up so we can watch together. I mean, I'll invite people over to watch it. But this is going to be an exciting one. I definitely recommend people watch it. If you know someone with UFC Fight Pass, go and watch it together because it's a really entertaining one, and you're gonna enjoy it if you haven't watched it before. So with Jiu-Jitsu news out of the way, we are going to move on real quick to the boxing announcements. This past weekend, I didn't get to watch these fights this past weekend, but from what I saw, Terrence Crawford gets the victory and by knockout, so it makes his 10th straight knockout. Terrence Crawford, pound for pound, I think he is the pound for pound king right now, in my opinion. The other debate for another pound for pound king is Naoya Inoue. And the Japanese fighter got his victory as well this past weekend against Paul Butler. And another pound-for-pound contender, Inoue that is a killer right there. And if you don't know these fighters, Terrence Crawford, one of the best switch hitters in the game, very, very fluid. I mean, just 10 knockouts in a row against high-level competition, debatably pound for pound. Terrence Bud Crawford, as they call him, is definitely on the comparisons to kind of Mayweather and all those guys with his undefeated record are there, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that he beats Mayweather's record eventually. But definitely want to see him getting the real fights that we want to see. We want to see him fighting Errol Spence. Everyone wants to see that fight, and that fight's been delayed for so long. If we could just get that fight on the table, I think everyone would be happy to say Crawford, if he does get the victory, that he would be pound for pound king. For sure. Again, Inoue is as a Japanese fighter. He's been killing it in his division. A smaller fighter than Terrence Crawford, but definitely someone to watch out for. And love his fight style. Very explosive, very smooth. A lot of very good feints in his game. And another fighter I kind of wanted to touch base on, another boxer per se that hasn't not been getting the shine he deserves, is Jerome Ennis, Boots. So if you have not watched Jerome Boots Ennis, that is one of the top contenders in that weight class, in Terrence Crawford's weight class. I would recommend you guys check out Boots. He is going to be a contender for Terrence Crawford for sure. He's going to be definitely, I hope they see that fight soon. I think Ennis is on that sideline right now, even though he is one of the top fighters. He's the dark horse of that division. I think him, after Spence and Crawford have at it, the winner of that fight needs to fight Boots, because Boots is killing it. Philly style boxing, really sharp. His dad, Bozzy Elias, I've been watching for years. The way he trains, the way he's taught him. And Ennis is one of those kids, I mean, he just grew up in the sport. And when you grow up in a certain sport and you're doing something particular your whole lifetime, it's going to be very lethal once you get to adulthood, and you're going to be damn near genius or master at that by the time you get to your adulthood. So watch Boots Ennis, Terrence Crawford, and Inoue. If you guys haven't watched those fighters, those are the top contenders in the game. And boxing, unfortunately with boxing, we don't get to see this news as much. There's all these promotions are kind of doing their own thing. It's not like the UFC where it's a big promotion. You get all the news and attention on it. It's hard to keep up with the boxing news as much, but I do my best to try to make sure I'm staying up to date, at least with the top contenders in boxing. So if you have seen these guys, you'll know what I'm talking about. Those who have not, definitely I'd say take a look into these fighters, because they are the creme de la creme. They are the upper echelon. They are the guys that will be making the big dollars in the immediate future. These guys, every time they fight, they're going to make big money. So very, very exciting to see that. So a lot of combat news this past weekend. Upcoming this next weekend, we have Sean Strickland making his return against Jared Cannonier, and that's going to be a banger of a middleweight fight. I think that's the last fight of the year. So December 17th, this Saturday, the last fight of the year. A lot of good fighters on this, a lot of good fights in general. So definitely we'll talk about that on the next podcast. I'll try to make sure I recap these fights. UFC 282, I'll have to recap once it's up on ESPN or on UFC Fight Pass. I will definitely comment on those once I see them. But other than that, we don't have too many other things until the new year. I think we'll have a couple more podcasts until it's 2023. But yeah, I think that wraps it up mostly for today. Mark, anything else before we close off?
All good. Happy holidays, everyone.
All right, everyone. Take care. Train hard, stay consistent, and stay hard. Shout out to David Goggins. Take it easy, everyone.